Hi, Zizaran here with another video for the upcoming 3.18 Sentinel League. Sentinel? There was nothing really that changed in the way of build balance. So I have revisited a lot of builds that were really strong that I actually played a lot and we changed a lot on from the initial guide. But I wanted to make a video here talking about, talking a little bit about builds as well as talking about the guides that were good last league that I'm not updating. Maybe I just didn't play it enough myself, or I didn't feel that there were any changes needed. And I didn't want to just re-upload a guide and slap 3.18 on them to make more money. Now, in hindsight, seems like a mistake because money is nice. And just as a quick tip, one of the main reasons that I always suggest having an insanely strong league starter is it really sets the tone for the rest of the league. It puts you in a really good spot with currency and lets you play around with really like maybe weird clunky builds that other people aren't, that are still strong, that maybe just need a lot of currency to get started. First, let's take a quick look at Explosive Arrow Hierophant / Champion. I did not make a new update for Hierophant. I felt like that was just worse than Champion. A lot of people still like it, and you can still refer to this guide and all the updates, etc. And it was really, really strong. But we do have a new video for this with everything that I learned playing it a lot in 3.17. Pox's Righteous Fire Inquisitor is another one we've also made a new guide for with everything that he learned on that. And it has like a huge, basically a Wikipedia for the entire build guide now. So make sure you check out that guide as well. Very strong. Next up, we have the Gazi guides for Skelly Mages. Skelly Mages ended up being probably, might have been the most popular softcore build. And it is just incredibly strong. Probably what scales the most ridiculously to the point where you do get like 20 to 100 million damage. It just scales an insane amount at the top end. And obviously you can sacrifice so much stuff on softcore that it just really pops off. We haven't made a new one for this. Gazi has so much minion content on his YouTube. Make sure you go check that out. And obviously the old guide should like cover everything you need. There were no balance changes in 3.18. Absolution Necromancer, still incredibly strong. A lot of people use this early on before you go Skelly Mages, but you can continue playing this at the end game as well. Honestly, it turned out really well. The feedback was incredibly good on it. Really fun to play. So as you can see, a lot of this is going to be saying that yes, the build worked okay. I don't know. Hopefully you guys like this video just so I can say if there was a big disaster on everything. Next up, we have Cold Dot Occultist, and Shaq Central plays these builds so much. So I would always like recommend like checking out his content, seeing what he's done because he plays it so much. He's Pox, but Cold Pox. So very, very good starter. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of Cold Dot. I don't really enjoy the way it plays. I think it's just too slow for me and it doesn't have a enjoyable playstyle. I don't know, but for me, I don't love it. It is very strong though. Winter Up Totems, I mean, this one was okay. It was fine. I ended up trying with the Black Zenith Gloves Winter Orb, and that was insanely strong, but they nerfed that. I don't really recommend it as a starter. It was an acceptable build. It's nothing to write home about. I honestly wouldn't do this personally. If you really want to try it, people were able to do like Maven and stuff with it. This was the Spark Inquisitor that we made for the Coalition, and incredibly good, similar to like things like Arc, like the Inky's Arc Witch, etc., where it's incredibly strong early and then starts falling off a little bit for bosses. Makes it a really good league starter where you use it to make currency and then you switch over to a more, maybe like an Omniscience build or something once you've saved up some currency. Yeah, it worked out pretty well. I would say like watching this for early and then Garathas for like late game would be a perfect combo. This one, absolutely amazing. There's quite a lot of new players that fuck up the helmet focus mod on this. It's just because poison stacks infinitely. The focus mod ends up being so important. It's not like Ignite where you only have one Ignite at a time. On this, you could technically have 50 poisons ticking, right? You can have loads of poisons ticking. If you have enough duration, that's why the build really ramps. So some people are struggling on single target with that. It is actually almost immortal when mapping because you're getting life recovery back whenever you take damage and the utility fast pops. So incredibly strong that way. Insanely fast mapper if you're not looking to do a lot of bosses, but it definitely falls flat on bosses. Like you can do things like Awakener, but you're not going to do wave 30 Simulacrum. You're probably not going to do the new Uber versions. They'll be very rough. Corrupting Fever Champion did not make a new one of that either. Ruiz obviously played a lot of these builds and they are very, very strong. Again, similar concept to the last one. Very, very strong mappers and can struggle a little bit on, especially early on, killing bosses and things like that. And we made a cringe ED intro. There's just no reason to remake ED right now. It's just not great, sadly. And I didn't have time. Scrya had a great idea for a fun ED meme video. We just didn't have time. It's just not in a great spot. It's not worth playing. If I get time, I don't think I will, and it's not that important because it's not something I recommend as a league starter. You can just play any champion thing and respec later. A lot of people play Spectral Helix early on, make currency with that, and then once you get an Omniscience, go Lightning Stripe champion. This was an insane build. I'm definitely remaking this league, and I will be focusing hard on getting all the stat gear. But you can see like the damage I have on hardcore while it being insanely tanky. Especially once I pop my Vol Lightning Strike, which I'm saving here because I don't want to use it. But it just had such an insane amount of damage. Here you can see it. And this is on hardcore. I think I had between 12 and 20 million DPS. It actually depends a little bit on positioning as well. So it's not always like the same. Sometimes you do only get like 6 or 8. But just so much damage, so much tank. I was farming the Feared on this. I think I did Feared 10 or 11 times on hardcore before I died. And it was just my own fault. I just got hit by the Cortex Slam. So I don't know if I'll have time to make a new build guide for this, to be honest. And I don't know if I want to do it as a starter anyway. I actually wanted to, but we do end up with so many videos before a league start that sometimes we don't have time for everything. Other than that, I made like a generic league start tips and tricks video. It has like recipes and things like that that are very helpful. It's also the most viewed video I have so far this league, and people seem to be really liking it. But yeah, very, very good league start tips and tricks video. Other than that, we have remade Explosive Arrow, like I said. We have a new guide with Pox. We have a Poison Seismic Trap updated. That's probably the second strongest build this league, maybe third strongest, depends how you enjoy those builds. Obviously, that is the most important. Make sure you do whatever is going to make you have the most fun. We also have made an Ignite, Detonate, Dead build. That is absolutely the strongest build this league. That is also because it is bugged and is dealing 60% more damage. If you're worried, like, well, if it's bugged, aren't they going to fix that? Nope, they're already confirmed. They're leaving that in for all of 3.18 intentionally, which I kind of disagree with, but whatever. At least we're going to use it and abuse it. It's intended. So 60% more damage for the Spectres. Basically, instead of them having like 50k life, they have 410,000 life. Something like that. It's an insane amount. So absolutely easy choice for the strongest starter. We are also making a Bone Shatter video with Karn. That should be up soon. We are also doing a Shield Crush build for Co-Carnage in the Coalition. Should be really fun. That should be up before launch. So we have some really, really good choices for builds. It's pretty hard to go wrong when we know exactly what's strong. So I hope you guys like this video, me just going over the builds, what's strong, what's coming, etc. Let me know, should I make a video like this every league? But thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video. And more importantly, try to die less than I do.